Good afternoon. It's Friday, yay! For many of you, I realise this is the last Friday before Christmas, so with any luck, you have packed up work for Christmas now, or are in the process of packing up work for Christmas, and that it's all looking good. You're on the wind down. Remember, some of us did that 2 weeks ago. So, anyway, let's move on. Today we are faced with the snowflakes. I promised that I would occasionally, I would change this out. So this is the snowflake variant that I did. I like these. As I say, it's just such a shame that they're not really suitable for what I wanted. Such is life. Anyway, it is time to progress somewhat. Will you sit on there? Thank you very much. By the way, before you ask, this is a book. You can see there, it's not just a rando pile of crap. It's actually a book. My rando pile of crap's way more over there. So, let's see. Where are we at? We are at needing 2. We could do with, she says, putting this back momentarily, because we have you and you who have made it to this side of the world. We could do with another pin. I'm going to put you there, and I'm going to move you up there and you over there, and then you can become a pile over here. The guy who does the gardening is parked in my driveway. He's not working on my house. He's working on somebody else's. And he frequently parks in my driveway, which, technically, I really don't mind. I do mean this genuinely, don't mind. But it can get a little frustrating because it annoys the dogs. And as we know, whiny face here gets on my nerves. And so as a result, she's all whiny. Rory keeps getting in and out of his spot. And everybody gets kind of stressy because, well, he's loading up his car because the people he's working on do not have a brown bin. And for those not entirely sure what I'm talking about, the brown bin is the garden bin here. And as a result, he has to put all of the garden rubbish in big sacks. And then deal with it and take it down the I was going to say the recycle centre, but the garden waste kind of people, right? So he's constantly banging his car, coming up to the, now at least I don't have a gravel driveway like my dad did, otherwise the dogs really would be going nuts, but it's still enough. It is enough that it is annoying. Now, I want to get this in just so, and I'm going to move the light slightly. There you go. If I move that slightly, you're a little bit more this direction. Now, because this means it's a bit more in front of me, which is great, and the bobbins are kind of here, and I don't have to reach too far. I was going to do something. I'm sure I was going to do something. Only knows. Right. So. Pins. That's what it was. Pins. Flippin'. For my pin collection. There we go. This is when he rings the doorbell, of course. Because that would be just about right. Yeah. I can't see that. These are now done. So you can go back in here like this, as if that never happened. How many pairs is here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the next one is stick worthy. Which means you come out of there, and you guys go on this one. You can go for that. You need to be shorter, because you're just being annoying. Not quite that short, there we go. One of you always constantly seems to be getting longer. The other seems to be constantly getting shorter. There you go. Afternoon. How did your smearing session go? And how are you feeling today? I understand. I totally feel for you, mate. I really do. It's not a problem I've personally had to face, and for this, I am infinitely grateful. I've never forgotten. I was in the garden with my dad. Now, you know, because he's dead, it's not like I'm giving any secrets away. My dad lives. Dude, if I had a car and was in reasonable travelling, I would come and help. Well, I do have a car, but it has no MOT, and, well, it doesn't move. Because, well, I think either the battery's dead, which bloody ought not to be, I replaced it recently, or the connection's wonky and I haven't looked at it because I couldn't be asked. But otherwise, I would get in my car and come help. Yeah. No, I was about to say, my dad used to live in Ruislip, right? And you can Google where that is. And he lived in a house with a really, really big garden, and it was his pride and joy. He was Percy Thrower in another life, right? And he had this real thing about his garden, and I remember standing in the garden with him one day, and there was a bit of a rustle in the bushes, and he goes, I don't know what it is. And I went, well, it's a rat. And he went, oh no. It was a rat. Not too surprisingly, otherwise it wouldn't have come into the conversation. But he was appalled that I had worked out it was rats when he had not. And it turned out, as you probably well know, his next door neighbours had decking. And rats love decking. So the whole garden was infested with rats. And they were coming through his garden. Because, of course, he used to do things like feed the foxes. So he was putting out bird food and he was putting out sausages for the foxes and, you know, all the kind of shit that I do too. Don't get me wrong. But the rats, of course, were also enjoying this privilege. And there were ponds to drink from and, yeah. Bless his little socks. My dad, he really was quite upset I was right. But then I think I've told you before the Ickenham station thing. Sitting there at late at night, looking across and seeing what I thought were, you know, bits of glass and crap underneath the opposite platform. Because it was a raised platform, but it was on like stilts, so it was hollow underneath. And then realising it was thousands of blinking little rat eyes. Oh my god, and realising, of course, then there was almost probably just as many underneath me. Yeah, no. And people wondered why I cycled everywhere after that. And it was like, no thanks. Let's not. I'd rather not. Thank you very much. I know that there are no such thing as killer vampire man-eating rats, but I like to be on the safe side, you know. I'll just in case, you know. I'll just not. exactly. You know, just in case. You know, it's, you know, no need to push your luck and everything. It's like saying I never got COVID and then going and sit in a room of COVID patients. You know, let's not be pushing the stupidity level here. You know, if you don't need to, let's not. You know. Yeah, the sight of all those little eyeballs. Yeah, that haunts me to this day. I can still see them. If I close my eyes and think of that station, I can still think of those eyeballs. You. It was about then, I think, that my detesting of rats went from mildly uncomfortable and wishing to avoid to no. Just no. I mean, let's face it, if I found rats in my loft here, I'd probably move out. It's, you know, no. Knocking on the ex-husband's door. Dude, I need to come live here. Why? Got rats. Yeah. Mind you, he's got faster internet. So. Considerably faster internet. I keep looking to check if I can get anything better here. The answer, of course, is no. Or I'd have done it. It's not quite true. Technically, they tell me I can now get Virgin. But I don't really like... I've heard too many people with problem with Virgin internet, so... Rather not. It is tempting. Plus, I don't actually think they do this road. Otherwise, my neighbours might have done it as well. And they'd have said. Because they're IT geeks as well, so... Isn't that naughty kettle? You need to get yourself a big pile of Jack Russells. Rent them, you know, borrow one or something, borrow a few. problem I've always found is, I mean, a friend of mine had problems with rats, and she didn't have the same phobia we do, but she still didn't exactly want to share her garden with them. And one of her dogs did actually kill a rat, for which she was very unhappy. But at the same time, she would constantly moan she had rats, and she did have rats. She had quite a few rats in the garden. And she had a really small garden. I mean, really small garden. But she didn't want her dogs trying to kill the rats because they might bite the dog, and the dog would then get lupus. Don't ask. But at the same time, the same dog who did manage to kill a rat also killed 3 rabbits, one of which was hers, 2 were not. So yeah, but she had a real problem with rats. Pretty much for the same reason. Her neighbours had decking, and they dug under the fence and appeared in her garden. Council came, put some stuff down. Didn't seem to do anything about it. Didn't seem to help, you know. I'd vote for that in a heartbeat. I really would. First of all, the ban on Premiership football, you'd have had me at that, let alone the you know, ratting championship. I'm not exactly a football fan. To be fair, I'm not. How do I explain it? I don't have a problem with sports on TV, but I kind of do. The problem I have is that many sports, including football, are really quite okay if you're physically there and you're, I won't say taking part, but maybe someone you know's taking part, or you know, whether it's a company team, whether it's, you know, whatever. It can be plenty of fun when you're there. When you're not there, however, it's like watching paint dry. Because you haven't got the atmosphere to drag you along and get you into it. You just look at it in the cold light of day and see, as Premiership football is, a bunch of overpaid wuss bags running around. They spend 12 weeks off with groin strain, but seem to manage to knob everything within 6,000 yards. And, you know, and you're sitting there going, because of course they can't play more than 2 matches a week, because that would be too much. I'm sorry, you're telling me that 3 hours work a week is too much for these overpaid hairballs, are you? Right, okay. It's just, I mean, I know they have to practice. I know that feeling. I know that feeling well. I've been to a cricket match. They're equally as tedious. Because of course it's... No worries, have fun. Oh, Amy. Get over it. Come on, Rory. If you didn't fall for her tricks, you'd have stayed in your comfy spot. You would. Yes, I heard that. It's not... Just ignore it. There we go. Manhood rungeth doorbell. Right. Back to... Where were we at? We've just done you. Oh, we've got you today. Now I'm all out of not sitting straight and everything. This looks like it's in the same place, but somehow I'm not. And right. So that's you. Right. 400 more bobbins to go. And then we put you to one side. It's hard to think it's Christmas, kind of Tuesday or whatever it is. Doesn't feel very Christmassy. Bobbin. It's really helpful of you. It's one thing I find really funny about my heating app. So I've got an app for my heating. It allows me to attach it to Alexa, and so I can yell at her to turn the heating up, I can yell at her to turn the heating down. But it only does it for a really short period. So if I tell her to set it to 16 degrees or whatever, or 24 degrees or whatever I pick, right? She will, but it's usually for a maximum of, I think it's an hour, right? I think it's until the hour comes round, was the wording I was given. It kind of claps at you, not literally, for turning the heating down. So if I go into the heating, like I did earlier, because it was getting a bit warm in here, and I'm trying to avoid the whole yawning thing, turn down the heating slightly. And it kind of, ooh, you turned down the heating X times this month. You've turned up the heating X times this month. But what puzzles me is that it doesn't clap and save how much CO2 you saved if you program it to be cooler for, say, Friday afternoons. It doesn't give you kind of a pat on the back for that. It kind of just goes, yeah, whatever. Which is kind of weird. So it almost encourages you to set the heating to be, 24 degrees and constantly turn it down. Because of course, the more times you turn it down, so if you do it through bitch face and you have to turn it down every hour, well, then it'll be really pleased with you. You've saved all this. But you didn't save all this because that's the temperature you wanted in the first place. Joys of technology. Because of course, being a sensible individual, I've told my heating to be cooler when I don't need it to be warmer. And in fact, if I go out, I set it to be bugger all or nothing. Not that I go out very often, but, you know, if I go out, I set my heating to be bugger all of nothing, because, well, I'm not here. I don't need to be heating up a house when I'm not in it. And admittedly, I only really need to heat this room and my bedroom. Shut up, dog. The kitchen doesn't have any heating. Downstairs loo is heated. Actually, that's a fair point. Cold butt cheek, well, warm butt cheeks, cold toilet seat. Not the greatest pairing in living history. Listen. Yay, Tenchi! How are you? I saw you liked my photo, and I nearly picked up my phone to go, how dare you like my photo and not be watching the stream? But I thought it was a bit rude, so I didn't. I know you'd understand, but, you know, it looks a little bit kind of mean, you know. But I confess I did think it. I understand. Is this your last working day before Christmas, Tenchi, or have you got Monday to go? Fair enough. I'm in a really odd position because obviously when I booked this monster set holiday, that doesn't look right. There's some shenanigans. We're going to go back and we're going to look at why this looks funky. Now, was it just a loose thread? Or is it actual? No, it's just a loose thread. Yeah, when I booked most of December off, because bear in mind, of course, I stopped working 2 weeks ago. New company. First of all, I get more holiday under new company rules. I'm on paid time off. So I'm on paid time off now till, well, from the 5th of December till the 2nd of January. Oops. No, actually, I don't say oops. I quite enjoy it. I quite enjoy not working December. I'd rather not work January, in fairness, actually, because January is even darker, even though the shortest day of the year is tomorrow, and as a result, it should be lighter and nicer in January. For some reason, January just always is the pit of despair. It is dark, wet, cold, miserable, hate-filled, everyone's broke. You're constantly plagued with sales adverts because, of course, all the shit they didn't manage to sell for Christmas is now on sale, and you didn't want it in the first place, so now you still don't want it, but it's cheaper now, but I still don't want it, and, you know, all of that kind of stuff going on, and you're plagued by adverts, and you know, it's, you know, lots of things reset in December, so you get a bunch more bills and, you know, all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so I'd rather have January off, but I've got basically December off. But under my old regime, I got 20. Well, it's hard for me to explain because we do our holiday in hours. Because we do 5 hours on a Friday and 8.5 hours Monday to Thursday, we do hours for a holiday. And because obviously a day off on a Friday is not the same amount of hours as a day off on, say, a Thursday. So we have holiday in hours. Anyway, my holiday was 210 hours. I know this, but I can't remember how many days that is. I think it's 28 days. Anyway, new lot give me 30 days, which I think is 222. Plus, they only work half days on Christmas Eve. So I get refunded half a day's holiday. So next year I will have 30 and a half days holiday. And it's kind of like, well, you mean I start the year with a half a day holiday already owed to me? And it's like, there'll probably be some caveat because I've had December off, and I know they're distinctly unimpressed with that. To the point, my co-worker, the one who pings me all the time, was due to have a month off next year because his girls are finishing school, between school and university kind of thing. And he was going to take a month off to go on a bit of a, last crusade kind of thing. You see, that's kind of how I work. Pretty much, I get paid. I get 30 days, which is obviously 4 and a bit. Is 4 and a bit, 5 and a bit weeks off. 30 days is 6 weeks. Stupid prick. But obviously, I think it was 28 days. So, anyway. But the side effect of that is that, like you, while I'm salaried, so I get paid, whether I've taken, December off or not, kind of thing, right? I should take more time off in the summer when the weather's nice, and, make some use of it, even if all I'm really doing is going out in the garden and sitting in the sunshine. And I know, making shit. But, take some time off, chill out in the garden, and maybe I will do a bit more of that this year, because I've got a feeling that the new overlords are not going to be overly impressed if I want to do the whole December shit again. And I'm sure there'll be words had when I return, because, of course, I was only an employee for 4 days before I had the day off, before I had the rest of December off, so they didn't really get to talk to me too much. Not my fault, my previous employer agreed it, and they have to honour it. But of course, it also bends to the, if you can have a month off, you can't really be needed then, doesn't it? Which is a concern. Anyway, I get 30 days now, and obviously that's even more. And as I say, I can imagine them going, you've got to take more holiday more regularly than that. And it's like, but I don't want it. I live alone with 2 dogs. I sit in the same chair, whether I'm working or whether I'm on holiday. The only difference is which computer I'm looking at, right? This is kind of the crux of my holidays. The true difference between, and I get up a bit later, obviously, if I'm on holiday, because I don't have to get up at the crack of sparrow's fault to do work. But the truth of the matter is that, other than getting up an hour and a bit later, there really isn't that much of a difference between working days and days off. Other than, obviously, on days off, I can do things like this and not feel guilty. Do you think I feel guilty? Well, you know what I mean, though. So if I tried to do this during my working day, I would feel bad because, I'm supposed to be working. I have occasionally done some cross-stitch during meetings. I'm not going to pretend that I haven't done that. Because, talky doesn't need... if I'm not presenting, if I'm not leading the meeting, if I'm only having to listen, and it's one of those meetings that you're sitting there going, why the fuck am I in this meeting? But you're in the meeting, I'm here, I'm there to answer questions, I'm listening, I'm just poking holes in a, with a bit of coloured thread in a, to move that on. So I'm, not going to say I haven't done that, because I have. And I'm getting, I really am bothered by those green flowers, Tench. Really bothered by the fact that well, I say flowers. Well, exactly. Especially depending on what the content of the meeting and the seminar is. I mean, just before we were 2P'd, they were talking about all of us needing to attend a problem-solving training course. And I'd not actually said it to my manager because, of course, I had had a one-to-one with my manager all year, so why would I? I hadn't spoken to the bloke. But, I had no intention of doing it. Why? Because I could guarantee you the... Well, the little ones in the corners, the kind of ones with rounded petal-looking things, they very much are flowery. Now, the bit in the middle, I would agree, potentially is not flowery. For those who have no idea what I'm talking about, let me shrink this down a bit so that you can see it. No, need to shrink it down more than that. Right. Can I hide marks? Hide markup. There we go. Right. So if I transfer to... haven't got a magic button for that. So if I do... let's do this one. Properties. That one. Missed that one. There you go. If I swap over to this one, right? This is the thing that I'm making, and because I put it in here so I can see what I'm doing, right? Now, these things in the 4 things in the corners, because I was about to do something, because I know you can't see my cursor, so the 4 things in the corners are too much like flowers to me. But they're inside. The pink edges are great. You know, quite okay, although it's quite a bright pink. Pink edges don't bother me. The purple middles don't bother me. It's the green. Now, the green swirly things that lead between the flower bits and the corners to the middle, I could argue are some form of leaf, or pretending to be leaves, or leaf-like even. Although there is this kind of pink bud square rando shape in it, which looks a little odd. Then there's the centre thing. Now, if I said to you and changed these from, hang on, let's pick this one, replace active thread with, if we placed it with, hang on, let me quickly take the screen print of this because I want to remember to put the colours back. Not that the numbers are right, but I spent ages trying to get them as close as possible, so let me just quickly grab that so that I don't remember. So if I change these to, I know, that, and this one to replace active thread with, let's say, that one. If that was the pattern, now bear in mind the green things are now also purple, it would be a bit more cohesive to me. It doesn't look, you know, the purpley bits would stand out, but with the pinky bits, but the pink, the dark purple and the dark pink kind of go together, and then you've got a kind of a lighter and a medium purple to go with. That to me, okay, it's a bit cold, but, you know, for want of other colours, you know, we could pick pinks. Hang on. We could pick pinks. Replace active thread with, find some pink ones. Dusty pink. And we'll have you. And we'll replace you with, we need to find a darker pink. You're a little bit rose. It's a bit much, but no, it's a bit much. Cranberry light. There you go. Ew, fuck no. But again, even that, looking, you know, pretend that the swirly bits between the middle and the edge were still green. I'd really like that. If you then put the swirly bits back as green, they would then be leaf-like, and then you've got a big flower in the middle, little flowers at the corner. But the problem is, with them being green, they just look shit. In my humble opinion. So, I just can't. And because it's a kit, I'm using the colours they gave me. Because at the time, you know, I didn't think too much about it. I just kind of thought, oh, I'll have a go at this, and bought a kit and started on it. The colours are bothering me a lot. Almost too much. But I am nearly done with the top. So, I haven't put the beads on it. I might fuck the beads, but I'm just, it's funny though how just by changing the greens in the kind of flower areas to say pink, they look far more, they look just like flowers now, whereas when they're green they just look odd. Green and purple is not exactly a colour combination that I guess I feel entirely comfortable with. So, and I think that maybe that's the problem, is that the colours just don't work for me. Ping. Oh look, co-worker. So got to stay. It's alright, my manager asked him to say Happy Christmas to me. And I've written back, did you tell him she'll say fuck off? Oh, in his head, yeah. That's alright then. Guy hasn't even got the balls to drop me a Happy Christmas email, fuck's sake. Yeah, I'm on holiday, but, you know, wishing someone Happy Christmas is a generic, you know. Although, you know, you can just drop it to my work email, I'll read it in the new year and thank you then. I'm still laughing over yesterday's all hands, you know, company, how we did meeting, apparently. Short answer is not so well. We're gone from a company making billions a year to a company who didn't make target this year. Great, thanks for that. I feel so secure in my job. Yeah. I did get running commentary through it, which was quite amusing. Because this is what me and co-worker do. When we were doing the whole consultation thing, you know, whoever went first for the meeting, all they did all meeting was text the other one with what was coming up, so they could prep follow-up questions for the next one. So basically, if you spoke to one of us, you spoke to both of us. You might as well have had us both in the same meeting. unless you were actually talking salary numbers, which of course they're not allowed to change, so that was never a thing. You might as well talk to all of us, talk to the pair of us, because we're going to tell each other anyway. I mean, let's face it, I know roughly how much he makes. I mean, we're not stupid people here. The one thing I have to admit, I do agree with the culture of, the anti-culture of companies who block, who will tell you that it's a warning on your record if you talk about your salary. Why? What have you got to hide? I mean, yes, it can be upsetting to find out that you're the lowest paid in a department. Yes, it can be upsetting to find out that maybe you're the highest person paid in the department because you feel sorry for everybody else. But we shouldn't be that far apart if we're all doing roughly the same job. So, unless you've got something to hide, which is that you're being really mean to at least one of us, why not? If we're comfortable talking about it, that's surely our choice. We're all adults here, if we really wanted to, I mean, admittedly not necessarily at work, but, if you wanted to talk about your sexual preferences or whatever, or lack thereof, or even maybe the curiosities thereof, again, surely you're adults. If you don't want to hear it, you say, oh, I'm not really interested in that. Can we talk about something else and move on? It's, it always just feels like companies who don't want you to talk about it have definitely got something to hide. Because, yeah, of course it's going to be upsetting if you've worked for a company, especially like I did for nearly 20 years, and be 20 years in 6 weeks. Where, it's always going to be upsetting if you then find out some jumped-up upstart who knows jack shit or nothing is being paid more than you. Of course it's going to be upsetting. But then you have to ask why. And chances are, companies do have limits generally on the pay rises they will give you. I mean, it's self-imposed limits usually, but they do have limits on what they can inflate your salary by. And at the same time, that you can be really fortunate that at the time that they were looking to get someone, they were, infinitely desperate, and so paid over the odds to get anyone to come and sit in the seat. That can be true too. And so, dude who's just come in, who's like, 12 and got no qualifications, no experience, but was prepared to do the job, maybe earning a fortune because, well, they were prepared to do the job. There are lots of reasons why salaries will differ. But at the same time, still shouldn't be, it is a fact. It's not a personal opinion. You should never be afraid of the truth. The truth should not bring fear and anguish. Right. Now. I mean, at the same time, if I worked for a company who wanted to make public record, within the company obviously, of what everybody earned, that's fine by me because it's true for everybody. I don't actually have a problem with that because, again, what have you got to hide? If you're doing a school leavers job, you're doing a school leavers job. If you're doing a really, complicated, highly skilled job and you're underpaid, surely there's nothing wrong with having that made public because then maybe they'll change it. in the hole. Don't be telling me there's no hole. I've made too many of these to know there's no hole. Oh dear. It's still awfully warm now. Turn the heating down, but... I know what we could do. We could do our first pin pulling. Pin. Right. We could do our first pin pulling. Because we like pulling pins. By the way, I'm not convinced that half my bent pins aren't caused by how I pull the pins. But yeah. And you. But not you. Okay. Already looks like there's some shenanigans. There's a pokey stick. There's a loose thread that crossbones. Can't do much about that now though. Never mind. Sigh. Never mind. Once again, this will not be a perfect square. Alright. So I've been wondering about whether I should stream on Christmas Day. Because Christmas Day, when you're a sad, lonely old fart, can be a really long day. And I know that there are going to be other people streaming on Christmas Day because they have nothing better to do either. But obviously I also want to cook my Christmas dinner. And then of course you need the afternoon after the post-Christmas dinner snooze because you've eaten your body weight in food. And if you haven't, did you even have Christmas at all? So I don't know. I don't know quite what's going to happen there. I mean, I kind of think I expect I will. Because, well, there's just going to be so much greatness on TV, that's for sure. Are they even doing a Doctor Who this Christmas? Probably not. That's too many. Oh no, that's because you were already out. That's why. Phew! We don't need to be going through the but how many should I have crap again, do we? We did plenty of that in the beginning. Oops. Oh, that's right. Idiot. Can't be 18 degrees in here. I'm normally a really good human calculator for temperature indoors. I can't do it so much outside because there's wind chill and, you know, direct sunshine and all that kind of palaver, but I'd have put it at 22 degrees in here. And yet everything's saying 18, which doesn't feel right. Because it definitely is warmer. They are. I've had them a few weeks now. I replaced the... Well, as you will know, in the duration of working on this, we've gone through a couple of bobbin organisers, to be honest. And they're very similar to the first ones, but the first ones were half the width of this. So they were literally, you know, that kind of width. And they had one bit of elastic that came out and went over 2 prongs at the end. So they were not very steady at holding the bobbins flat. They tended to be a bit more like the metal ones that I had, which was only the one kind of stretchy thing. But the elastic on the original ones was really, really saggy. Now, obviously, you know, yes, I can tighten the elastic, but they were also thin, so that they didn't really stabilise the bobbins at all. I then switched to the metal, frankly, they're knitting ones, but, you know, the metal ones, because the stretchy bit on there was really solid, and it held everything firmly, and I was quite happy with that. And then I'd seen, not exactly these, but that one's bent. That one's round. That one's kind of, look. You can't see how not flat that is. If I put it on my phone, you can see there's a gap in the middle of it. That's how unflat this one is. It's very round. But I'd seen something very, very similar to these. And then I saw these for sale on Etsy. And the fact that they are individually engraved, so there's different patterns on them. Sadly, it's only on one side, but I do very much like these. They were fairly cheap. I mean, they're obviously blatantly done on one of those fancy laser wood cutter things, so it burns a hole in it at each end, so you can put a pin through it. Because the idea being, you stab it with a pin, and then it's not moving anywhere. And, you know, it's got a decent piece of elastic. It came with some spare elastic even. And they weren't very expensive. So I bought quite a few. I'm looking at the pile. I think I bought 25 of them. So I've got 25 of these. Because of course at some point we're contemplating doing single piece net curtain, or at least very large piece, maybe potentially another net curtain, but as I don't know what else I could make other than bookmarks that I might potentially use, we're calling it net curtain for now. So I bought a fair few, but to be honest, I'd buy some more. I really do like them. I mean, I don't need any more, but it meant, for example, that when I put this on hold to go and do Fancy Bookmark, I used 5 or 6 to do Fancy Bookmark. I've got 6 or 7 doing this. I could have 2 projects on the go, and I still had a few spare ones. So it is very much a pleasant thing. It takes nearly every kind of bobbin. The only bobbins I imagine that would get a little lost in it are these pathetic things. Because, you know, well, they're quite pathetic. They get the toothpicks, as I call them. I got told off by the lace making group for calling them toothpicks. But, oh, they're like toothpicks in comparison. I mean, you know, these are not big bobbins, but when you put the toothpicks next to it, it looks like a frigging toothpick. They're really light. They're light, they're small, and they're pointed. They look like toothpicks. So, toothpicks, they are. It's, you know, I don't imagine they'd do so well with the whole kind of, with this style of, it's alright, that's what's wrong with it. It's alright, it was just wrapped around and it shouldn't have been, so. Feels wrong, but there we go. It adds in a bit. So yeah, pretty sure you're supposed to be over there. Yeah, I do like these bobbin organisers. They're a bit bulkier, so that when you do the piles, but they also do flat pile well. The metal ones were less good at that. Yeah, they were a lot less good at that. So, with that in mind, I like these even more, you know, because you can just chuck them and they tend to stay there. And even when they don't, you can kind of lean them, and again they tend to stay there. Or if they're not pertaining to stay there, you get a little pin, you scrunch it up, you stick a pin in, and of course it will stay there because now it's pinned there. So I do quite like these. These are very, very good. We need you. So we're going to be using you. So cross, 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 and cross. And now we need you. And they slide out quite nicely as well. So let's make you a bit longer. Of course, the first bobbin I come to doesn't want to. So, tomorrow is the 21st, yes it is, that's good. Tomorrow there is a Monsters and Memories stress test, and I may not stream any lace making tomorrow, because at 6 o'clock in the evening, I believe, my time, they're firing up servers, I think for 8 hours this time, was, I believe, the quote. Let me check. No, not that one. What's the memories? News. We'll be holding a stress test at 6 o'clock. 8 hours, yes, so it is 8 hours. So there is a really good chance that I will be, well, absolutely, I will be streaming Monsters and Memories. Because that is the thing to do. And it is the place to be. Hopefully you're all back now. The ad break reminded me, yesterday I vaguely spoke about how I'd kind of like the channel to grow slightly, but not necessarily humongously. I found myself watching a video on YouTube this morning. How do I put this? Oh my freaking god, right? Is the polite answer to this. So, this is off a Twitch stream. The guy did stream for 7 hours. During that time, he made $101,944.33. Let that sink in. It's 7 hours for a day's work. He made basically $102,000. Obviously subjected to local taxes of your area, but bear in mind if I earned that over here, the majority of that would be taxed, and so I'd probably get about 40k out of it. But for 1 day's work. And I need to point out, the person in question, if you've ever watched them stream, and I'm not going to name them, but if you've ever watched them stream, they're almost like the guy you like to hate. They are not exactly Mr. Personality. They are not exactly, inspirational material. And yet this guy made $102,000 doing one stream for 7 hours. Do you know how much? I think the most I've ever made on a stream was when I got 2 people subbed in one go. And so I think I made $4.50. I think that's my best money-making stream to date. Now, as I've said, I'm not exactly here for the money, but dude, it's kind of like, what do you mean someone made $102,000 for 7 hours work? I do not aspire to have their numbers. I really don't. I mean, part of me wouldn't mind the money, because, well, who wouldn't mind the money, right? I'd certainly do giveaways, and I'd be, I can see how Mr. Beast can afford to be so generous if, every time he throws up, all but a fart as a video, he gets that, because that's not Mr. Beast, by the way. I dread to think how much he makes, but, and there's a reason why he is stupidly rich, because he, like everything, he's stupidly rich, so people come and watch him because he's stupidly rich, so he retains being stupidly rich. These 2 bobbins are... See, this one's just coming undone. Even though it's got the right knot on it and everything, it's just unwinding itself. Let's sort this out. But, if I was kind of raking in that money, damn straight, I'd be giving shit away left, right and centre, because I wouldn't know what to do with it all. And we don't get the same tax breaks that, some of the American, as I understand it, you American guys might. So that if you gave away a $6,000 PC, you can deduct the tax on that. UK, you wouldn't get tax deducted off that. That's just stupid for giving it away. But it's... See, I don't know. Slightly astounded, because obviously that is a lot of money. And, to be honest, if I ever made it to a point where I'd reach $50 a month, and Twitch, because bear in mind, I pay taxes on what Twitch panned out. So I can tell you that many years ago, during a Shroud of the Avatar thing. I took part in a 24-hour kind of, not like a subathon thing, but a stream to help raise money for something, and I got a couple of subs and a couple of donations to myself. And when I started doing this and I got a sub or something, it finally tipped me over the $50 barrier. I get about £28, so I get nearly half that as pounds, right? If I got that for, you know, even if I made, like, you know, effectively took home £1 a go, I'd be surprised, right? You know, let's truly be honest here. I'm, you know, much as it would be great if you all subbed and threw money at me like some of the streamers seem to get. I was watching one guy, and due to the PoE 2 launch, and the fact that if you gave two subs, well, if you bought 2 subs, gift subs, you got a pet in PoE 2. Loads of people came on a stream and, of course, were handing out 2 subs to everybody. Well, he used to have 200-300 people a day watching him do his stream. And I'm not sure I'd be comfortable with that many, but, you know, he makes a living out of it. So, for whatever reason, at that kind of money, he is able to sustain life and buying things. Well, he's been getting nearly 2,000 people a day now. He's got nearly 30,000 subs now. That's a lot of people. And as I say, I can't ever imagine anyone in the arts and crafts group getting that level of it only seems to happen to gamers, to be honest. I mean, this particular guy's got a really nice group of followers. They're not the usual kind of miserable assholes of the world. They are nice people. They generally don't call up people names. They, you know, they'll hand out subs so that people don't have to watch adverts, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Because, of course, that is one of the things that should point out is if you're on Twitch and you have not considered this, if you watch 3 streamers regularly, if you pay for Turbo, which is like YouTube Premium but for Twitch, obviously, which is £12 here in the UK, I think, a month. I think it's less than that, actually. You are, in effect, quids in, because A, you will not see ads on any stream. So for the 3 people that you would have been subbing to, maybe to avoid ads, because it's the main reason to avoid sub, and the fact that they get, you know, $1.30 or something out of it. But the truth of the matter is, of course, is that if you follow more than 3 people, well, it's generally just over 2, but if you follow 3 people, you are quids in, right? Plus, of course, it applies to everyone. The streamer still gets paid like you watch the ads. So you get money. Excuse me, started yawning now. You know, we get arguably money from people with Turbo because the ads ran. So with that in mind, if you do follow people on Twitch, because, you know, it is kind of like the #1 streaming platform kind of thing, do consider Turbo, because it's a fixed cost to get rid of all of the adverts on everything. So then you're free to, because we all know that there is nothing more annoying than the channel that you flip to that gives you the pre-ads. So you've got to watch, like 3 minutes of ads before you can even find out whether you're interested in the channel, and it mutes the channel, sticks them in the top right hand corner, and so they might be doing all these great glorious things, but you've no idea because it's a 1-inch square on your screen, and you won't find out for 3 minutes what the hell they're talking about. You don't get any of that with Turbo. You can still sub to people to directly pay them sub money and make them feel better, because I've got, is it 2 subs? I've got 1 subscriber at the moment. Got 1 sub dude. Don't know who it is, but I have 1 sub to my channel, for which I am grateful. Do not get me wrong, I am very grateful. But there is a big part of me who doesn't kind of get why you do that. I mean, other than to cut out the ads, but if you are a general Twitch watcher, and I do watch a couple of people, I generally watch a guy called Pirate Software, who is not about pirating software, despite the very inappropriate name for his channel, really. I watch him, but it's a bit like having the radio on for me, so I'm not really listening often. He does give some good advice. He runs a ferret rescue, which I find interesting, and he has these little ferrets. He's got a cat called Meatball and a dog called Spaghetti. Spaghetti is insanely cute, although disappointingly we don't see him very often, and he's grown like mad. We need more Spaghetti. So I enjoy the whole Pirate Software thing as a rule. 3, 4, 5. But the one thing I don't watch him doing is playing World of Warcraft, which he's been doing for the last couple of weeks. He doesn't stream on a Wednesday and a Thursday, which is annoying for me, because those are the 2 most boring days of my week usually. But he's, he's entitled to a break, don't get me wrong. And he does stream like 12 hours a day kind of thing, right? When he does stream, so sometimes longer. So to be fair to the bloke, it's not like he's not putting in the hours. So I watch him. I watch a guy called Darth Microtransactions. I started watching him in, like many other people did, back when Diablo 4 came out, because he was doing lots of videos on Diablo 4, and he wasn't one of the big guys. And I'm sure you've seen this. When they become big guys, for want of a better word for them, there tends to be a bit of an attitude. Bit Mr. Beast kind of attitude. In that they've got more money than sense, and they will talk down on nearly anyone who isn't. This guy's not like that. This guy lives with his girlfriend. He's very much down to earth, and he just enjoys playing video games. So I do watch him. I've watched him as how I got into Path of Exile, to be fair. And then Path of Exile 2. So, blame him for that. I've watched him play other games. Not overly kind of necessarily interested in them, but it can be interesting watching someone else play them briefly. Usually he doesn't do it for too long, which is also a good thing. So with all those things in mind, I watch a couple of people. I watch them. Now I've started doing lace making on Twitch. I've started watching a few more makers of things. So I quite like watching the travelling tatter. I was watching a guy called Daceman, but one of his mods got angry with me for something that really was, harmless. And I didn't feel welcome there anymore, so I don't watch that anymore. Which is disappointing, because it wasn't his fault. So not his fault. Or their fault, to be more accurate. It wasn't their fault. And it was not, they did not make me feel unwelcome. It was their mods. And so with that in mind, I felt best not to be there. I do occasionally leap into other ones to watch briefly, but unfortunately quite a few of the people that I think I would be interested in don't tend to stream while I'm awake, which is a little bit annoying. I have joined the Twitch Makers and Creators Club. And there's an awful lot of people in there, but again, I think the problem is an awful lot of them only stream kind of while I would sleep. So unless I'm awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, chances are I'm never going to actually get to watch one of their streams live. But the whole lace making thing is not common on Twitch. And so I do have a small hope that... there's quite a few people on YouTube who do lace making. Most of them do tutorials. Rather than actual whole project making, if you see what I mean. So they'll kind of go, here's how you do cloth stitch, and and here's how you start, and here's how you do turn the corner. They don't necessarily show you the whole project and kind of real time, and when you've got a whole hour video and it makes, say, a square this size, it's not the whole thing, right? Because you've seen me, and I know I'm not fast, but I'm not that slow either. It's not an hour. It's definitely not. So I was hoping that people would find it slightly curious, but I also realised that, well, if I'm making 18 identical squares, which is 72 identical triangles, it is somewhat repetitive. Hence the side projects, to be honest. And I'm really pleased with how that bookmark turned out. Definitely pleased on that. I haven't given it away, by the way. I've kept it. Because I don't want to. And why are you... There you go. Oh, I was going to say, why is there a spare bit over there? So yeah, when we get to the end of this square, we will venture into... so we've got probably not each quarter. I think if I deviate off into a side project, it's almost week on, week off. Don't want to be doing that, because all that does is just stretch out. But I definitely think a venture a square. Maybe even half a square, depending on how well the square's going, right? Because obviously I had hoped to be doing a lot more streaming during my time off. I had hoped to do longer streams, but the problem for me seems to be that by the time I get around to starting, it can be later in the day, and therefore I'm already getting a bit tired, or it's I then get hungry and need to stop because I'm really hungry. Oh, am I in your way? Oh dear. Oh, what a stretch. Dear me. It's a dog's life. So, I had hoped to be doing kind of like really long streams so that people can kind of come and go but I still fear that without kind of community chat going on, that too many people come and they kind of go, well, this is boring, and start off again. And don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure it is boring, because, if I'm sitting here in silence and I'm bobbining away, whatever, would I stay? I'd probably stay until maybe they said something, but if after 10 minutes nothing's been said and no one's talking in chat and nothing's happening, is this live or is this a robot? But at the same time, I'm not a good radio host. I can't fill dead air so well without talking utter shite, as proving now, really. So yeah, I struggle. I don't see how the channel can grow particularly much, but at the same time, I'd like it to. I'd like more people to have a go and feel inspired to try it, and all of those kind of things. Thank you, Rory. So yeah, I was thinking actually, just briefly while I was looking at it, what would happen if I didn't stop at the line and kept going? Because of course normally you work this way, but if you've already filled in the bottom, it can't work. You can't meet in the middle from the top down. But it kind of is the same. It's I've got a couple of folders now. I've got 3 folders. One's of torchon, which is this style, and I've got 2 that are Buck's Point. So, for example, she says, reaching over, here is a folder. It's somebody I inherited. Well, I bought it off eBay. I won't say I inherited it. But for example, if you look at this, you can just make out there's this. But if you look here, and I slip my hand in, whoever previously owned this made some of the things. So there's one little snowflake, and they've made 3 of them. 3 little snowflakes. And it's nice to see someone else's and look at their joins at the bottom when they got to the end and see what they did, because, well, that's a bit of a munge. It makes me feel better that theirs is a bit of a munge too. But there's plenty of patterns, so there's the pricking for it. There are plenty of little patterns in here. There's a bookmark she's made. I say she, very sexy if it was me, but there's a bookmark, and they've used a coloured gimp rather than the white one. I really like how that turned out. And in fact, I dread to think what thread that used, because that looks even skinnier than the shit that I used. But there's quite a few things in here. So, for example, kind of collar with bows on it. Another kind of doily snowflake thing. $120, Jesus Christ. But you know, there's a flower bookmark which I thought was quite nice, which has kind of got the same sort of daisies that my last bookmark used, but with leaves. So that's kind of a potential. But look how small it is! The fucking size of this! I'd need to kind of repeat some of the middle. Butterflies. Squares, bookmarks. There's a bit of edging. She's done that one. I say she. The person selling it on eBay was selling it because I believe that person had demised. So, but as I say, then there's this. So that's actually real lace. That it's textured because that's this. Really done out with a bit of edging. So I've now got a number of things. Now, admittedly, some of them are not entirely up my street. I'm not going to pretend that that's not a thing. But, so there's some other things they've done. They've made like a small one and a bigger one. Bookmarks. We like bookmarks. Oh, there's that bookmark she made earlier. Oh look, there's one with just plain colours on it, and there's one with coloured GIMP again. So there's a fair few bookmarks in here to have a go at. There she's put, that's one of the bookmarks. Is that actually the bookmark, or is that a pattern? Oh no, it's the pattern. It's because all the pin marks are in it, but you know, it comes with pattern all laminated and pricked out to go. It is on blue paper, but you know, but there's an awful lot of patterns. That's picture, not actual lace. You have to check because she's done quite a few of them. See, that looks really real, but it's not. But that one is, and so's that. There's another bookmark with some flowery type things in it. And bear in mind, this is one of 2 folders, so she's done a section of this star. She obviously didn't like the bulking out in between. Personally, I'd have just tied them off. Another bookmark to do. We like bookmarks. Don't really need mats. Not really into mats. But the idea of mats and maybe getting hexagons and sewing them together to make bigger things could be a thing. Not against some of that. Some oval things she's got patterns of. More kind of coastery sized things. Lots of coastery sized things because they're all coasters. There's another one. There's a pile. She's made some of these kind of locket sized things and some of the coastery sized things. Oh! That'll be a Christmas card. Leave it! That's actually a real one. That looks pretty. I quite like that. Kids, shush. That's pretty. Let's pull this out. Where's the end? Of course, the end's round the other end. But I love how there's this very delicate cloth stitch in the middle, and then the pink, and you really need something dark behind it. Something dark behind it. It's not very good colour-wise, but you know, the ground becomes almost net curtainy, and you know, I'm not quite sure what the point of the extra piece of card with that is, but it's weird to think I'm messing with some poor woman's, I say woman, as I'm assuming it was a woman, someone's memories almost, but you know, there's the pricking for it. But you know, they made a few things. They got a few of these little kind of bits. There's another thing with chilies on it for some reason. Not quite sure why chilies, but you know, chilies it is. Oh, they're supposed to be gum. Well, they look like chilies, so there you go. But a few more bookmarks with some flowery type things on. So we have bookmarks, and she made one. And you know, again, this is quite pretty. It's got a different type of ground on it. I'm not sure I'm overly keen on that kind of ground myself, but I do like what she's done with it. And as I say, that's the first folder of 2. So it's interesting to see someone else's work. That's really in upside down, but there we go. As you can see, probably not the best stored in the world, but so I've inherited a big pile of ideas, if nothing else. It's something I can look to and kind of mingle and, you know, maybe take the flowery pattern out of this or the centre out of that and put a few bits together and play with a bit of colour perhaps. That's definitely potentially a thing. Try some coloured gimp threads to make it a bit more interesting. Let me just quickly go and see what that was coming through my door. Junk, right. Junk mail. The obligatory random idiot walking around with a bag full of 400 identical packaged together things they ram through people's letterboxes. Nothing important at all. I thought it might at least be a Christmas card, but which of course I haven't done mine yet, so I must do that. Do that tomorrow. Now that everyone's kind of, it's a bit more Christmassy nearer Christmas, if you know what I mean. One thing I could do for next year, maybe, work on sufficient lace objects to hang as decorations in my windows, to make it a bit more festive, because I don't really do Christmas decorations because I have annoying dogs, so I don't put up a tree because all they do is knock it over, and I can't really put one anywhere that is out of their reach. So because I've got video proof of the fact that I've got, in my garage, I've got shelves on the wall. I think there are 4 shelves, might be 3. His lordship can get on the top shelf. He can just get there. I don't know how he does it, but he climbs, is the short answer. At one point I had well, I still do, but it's not in a pile anymore. I had a rocking chair in a pile, and there was a table, and then on the table was a thing, and on the thing was another thing, and then on the thing was the chair. Imagine the look on my face one day when I'm at work and I look on the camera and I see his lordship proudly sitting in the top of the chair. So, you know, we're not going to pretend here that we can't climb up that far, because we do. We cleared off all the shelves. So nothing. I can't put anything on any of the shelves in the garage, because they just could take everything off it. They've emptied every single one of the shelves in there, even though there's like a big kind of column in the middle. So it's not like you can go from start to finish along the top of one shelf. You can't. You know, even as a rock climber, you'd have to kind of span round the thing, and it would take a bit of balancing and gripping. And so how in the name of mercy the dogs did it, I have no idea. But he did. So everything that was in my garage for safekeeping was not safe, and so is basically trash, including my electric bicycle, which was very expensive. Well, actually, more accurately, so far, the most major damage is to the charger for the electric bicycle, because someone ate the connector. So I can't connect it and charge the bike anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dogs! we were not happy. Because even to replace just the chargers, 150 quid. It's Yes. We were not pleased, were we, Mr. Paws? No. I was not best pleased. Many of the other things that they've destroyed in there didn't really bother me because it came free with the house. So I don't, I don't feel too personally attached to them. But my bike was expensive, so I care. I care for that, and especially as my car's knackered now. Although winter is not really cycling weather because it's usually wet, and I'm not a wet weather cyclist unless I have to, and it would need to be really have to. Let's keep going. But that should be 5 now. 1, 2, 3, 5. You're in the middle are a bit long here. I keep it shorter. Seem more like your friends. There you go. Right. Each. Yeah, I probably will. I'll try and stream on Christmas Day. definitely on Boxing Day. Because I'll only be eating leftovers by then, so I won't be having too much to cook. Unless I forget to cook it for Christmas Day, which I've done in the past. I've got previous for that. Bought loads of stuff to cook for Christmas Day and then, you know, did the entire turkey and you know, all the rest of it and forgot the stuffing, you know. Or forgot the pigs in blankets. I generally forget something. Now, if it's vegetable related, not a problem. Anything else, yeah, I want to cook that. And as I say, tomorrow, kind of in 26 hours or so, is the Monsters Memory stress test. So, unless I do a couple of hours early in the afternoon, I will only be doing Monsters and Memories. The only thing that I find frustrating about doing the Monsters and Memories one is the fact that I've got to change literally every single part of my stream. All the tags, all the things. And then I've got to remember to put it back before the next one. So that's generally slightly annoying that I can't almost have presets for it. Must be a way of making a sort of preset. You smell, dog. Holy. Don't even give me the side eye. That could strip paint, friend. Holy. If you're not a dog owner, you cannot understand. Seriously, that's open the window stuff, dog. That's like retchable. I can taste that. Foul beast. Might be getting you nuggets later, that's for sure. I heard that one! It said. As if the stench was not already enough. I realise that maybe perhaps you have stomachache if you have that much gas in your little man. But, dude... Dude! You could at least look offended by your own butt. My man, that is some noxious stuff. Are you going to get off now, are you? Okay. Yeah, maybe go in the garden and have a walk around. No, coming back now. Change plant. Foulness. Foulness. And I thought you loved me, dog. Trying to poison me. Fumes like that, my man. Dear goodness. Where's the big pink one? The big pink one's over there. No. Let's grab another one. Let's... put this over here like that. Dear Lord, dog. Actually, we will bring you forward. Why is that, Liz? That stops them trying to mate with those pins. And we want you later, but not immediately. And we want you now. ads are about to start, by the way, guys. wrong pinhole then, because it looked like I'd already done that one. How did I manage that? Because there isn't a pin in the pinhole. Sorry, just responding to someone. They posted a thing of, for want of a better doodles, it was a figure of a repeating figure of 8 shape, and they were saying they didn't understand how to do really hard turns. And it's like, but there aren't any really violent turns in it. Yeah, it turns out it's not the pattern she's following. Well, then don't post it as the pattern you're following. So yeah, she posts a picture of this figure of 8 thing, and then the actual thing she's having a problem with is a Christmas tree with a like a pot at the bottom, and obviously the pot's got sharper angles on it, and it's like, but that's not what you posted. If you'd posted a picture of that, people would have an idea of what you're talking about. I didn't pick one up, did I? 1, 2, 3. No, I didn't. So we undo that. Take you out because we need to grab one of these. Yep. Bobbins are getting dangerously further and further off the bottom of this bellow, and I'm not making them all longer. In fact, I keep constantly making them all shorter. Don't know quite how this works. They're obviously slipping. Because while my fingers are here, the bobbins are not, and I can't really push it much further away. So. You come in. That's the last bit. Yep. shorten all of you, because much as I'm kind of appreciating having a bit more length to work with, I'm not appreciating it when you're literally dangling off the end of the pillow. So let's stop you doing that. Like that. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You come out of this one. So, can't really be doing you yet. Let's put you over here, because we need to go across the top of here. Don't need you. More itches. Be getting. If you've ever had allergy bumps, you'll know what I mean. I've been getting these kind of allergy bumps on the bottom of my face randomly. And when I say randomly, it's usually in the evening, which would be kind of nowish. And they're always kind of along my jawline. But it's not like I was a kid when you used to sit with your hand, chin in your hand with your elbow on the desk kind of thing. Don't tend to do any of that. So it's not, it's not sweat. It's not something on my hands. It's just come the evening, I'll suddenly realise there are these basically itchy bumps on my chin. And it gets a bit annoying. That's right, I've got just moving my back a bit. It doesn't really hurt yet, but it's kind of doing the hey, have we done my bit yet? And it's like, maybe. Alright, Rory. It's alright, my man. It's alright. Dear me, that was harder to find than it should have been. Ow. Didn't have one, did I? It's all right, Amy. Come on. Something that we didn't suffer from when we were doing Buck's Point button up. The fact that the lace creeps up the pins. It has something to do with the fact that in this you anchor everything around a pin. So the pins are under tension. In Buck's Point, they are more to guide the threads in the right direction. So with the ground stitch, you do cross, twisty, twisty, twisty. The cross is over the top of the pin, but nothing, it can move freely side to side, you know, kind of round the pin a bit, which allows it to not pull the pin. And so the pin doesn't end up under really anything like the same amount of tension, which is odd then when you consider that they use really fat pins. So you may recall I labelled my pins skinny pins and fat pins. So here's my fat pins pot. We are currently working from the skinny pin pot because, well, that's what you do. So with that in mind, it seems really quite odd then that you'd use skinny pins for this and fat pins for that. Well, the skinny pins are 0.4mm and the fat pins are 0.6, so skinny and fat pins, right? It's amazing how different they feel in your hand. Actually, it's not the pin that feels that difference, it's the size of the head. It's the only thing I will say about skinny pins is you can see around the heads a bit better. With the fat pins, they're almost like umbrellas, you can't see for looking. It reminds me, where I work, on site, we previously did shenanigans with umbrellas to have a drone take a picture of the picture formed by the umbrellas. We haven't done that in a really long time. Like pre-COVID time. Because what they'd do is they'd hand you all an umbrella to borrow. And then if you had this colour, you had to stand in here. And if you had that colour, you stood over there, kind of thing, right? And then when you were all told, you had to open, basically on the sound of a gunshot. Admittedly, it was usually like a star pistol. But on the sound of a gunshot, you had to open your umbrella. And they would film it with the thing. So it would, you know, magically this picture would appear, right? And we did it a couple of times, and part of the joy of it was not the bothering with the umbrella, you understand, or even the picture that you made. It was the fact that they fed you burgers and sausages and things afterwards, which is something that they do on site. Is they have an employee recognition day, and they get in vans and you know, each employee is entitled to a free munch. Because technically now I'm a contractor, I'm not entitled to a free munch, but it was a thing. I'm trying to decide whether I give up now and order food, and because I am hungry, order food and I would say come back later, but I haven't done too many of the come back later things. More likely to watch TV, watch someone stream, play a bit of game, and then it'll be midnight somehow, and I'll be like, where the hell did that go? And at least be maybe around for early afternoon tomorrow, do a couple of hours then, before the main effort of playing Monsters and Memories in the evening, because clearly I'm not going to be doing this while I'm playing Monsters and Memories, so I don't know. I'm kind of in the mood to do a bit more, but I'm also, because this big square in the middle is the next bit, I'm kind of not. If it was a smaller chunk, I mean, I could do the cloth stitch down the side of this bit, but if it was one of those. I mean, none of them are small, but none of them are huge. But that is the biggest chunk. And for some reason, my brain is daunted by the biggest chunk. It's not that it doesn't grow pretty fast, because it does grow pretty fast. But it is the most amount of bobbins. It is the largest bit. And it is best done with a fresh mind. It's times like this I wish I had a second project I could swap out and do a bit of that instead. And then order the food. And I've got the yawns again. Oh, goodness me. I am also running low on coke. My back is trying to be uncomfortable. Sitting like this, talking to you, it's not so bad. Leaning slightly forward to do the lace making is annoying it slightly. Not as much as it's done in the past, which is kind of curious. So, I mean, part of me is slightly disappointed. We've been doing this, what, 3 hours? 3 hours isn't really that long. I mean, let's face it, what we've done this bit, and this bit. I don't think we did any more than that today. Or did we? I'd have to look at yesterday's picture. Forgotten already. That's a really sad sign of events, isn't it? Let's package this up then. So you skid round. I've got 1, 2, 3 of you, so I need 2 pairs of you in here. Like that. You go around there. It was a very long 2 secs. I was beginning to wonder if you were alright. Maybe you fell down a hole somewhere, or, you know, as long as you're alright. I'm sadly thinking of packing. Well, I am packing up for the evening. I'm hungry. I want to watch telly. Want to eat food. I've got the yawns again. I'm so sorry I've got the yawns again. So, sadly, Naughty Kel, you missed most of that. Well, you didn't miss most of that. You've seen most of this before. It's not exactly, you know, rocket science stuff. So, yes, tomorrow, hopefully I'll do a little bit early afternoon. Maybe a couple of hours then. And then, in the evening, Monsters and Memory Test. Part of me says not to bother doing the Monsters and Memories because I don't think anyone watched last time. And there's 8 hours of it. And obviously 8 hours is a long time. I'm glad someone helped you get your board in. That's a really good thing. That was really nice of him. So it sounds like you're all set for warfare there. I definitely wish you luck on that. And may the best man win, not the best rat after all. So may the best man win, and I do wish to follow your story of the Battle of the Rat. Because, well, as you know, yeah. Yeah. No. Seriously, if I went to the Kazi and heard a rat above me, first of all, there would be no constipation. Secondly, I'd rather go out in the field and bare my buttocks to the world than go in a room knowing there's probably a rat above me. So, you seriously, dude, you're a hero. I wish you luck with sorting it all out, though. No one should have to live with rats. No one ever. And yeah, I definitely like your idea of can Premier Football and have ratting contest instead. Ew, because I know what that light shows. Ew, it's not pleasant. I would say put warfarin tablets down. But even though they're rats and I have no love for rats, It is a horrible way to die. But the rats. But you got to get the warfarin to put down. Ew, rats. Catapult them to, so they go, like, miles away into the next town. That's kind of a slightly more humane. It's a sad thing, but if they won't take the hint, then you've given them fair warning. You've done the please can you not? You've asked nicely. You've asked again. You put locks on the door, kind of thing. If they're still really determined, well, you've got what coming to you, really, haven't you? I've always, I probably shouldn't say this, but I've always felt the same with burglars. If I've locked my house, if I have made every effort to secure my belongings, and you go above and beyond to get access to my belongings, I feel I have every right to do what I feel able to prevent you from taking them. And if that's bitch slapping you with a baseball bat, so be it. I felt really badly. It was in the news a couple of years ago. There was an old age pensioner who someone broke into his house. The pensioner shot him and killed him. Shame, right? And the family of the guy who broke in and subsequently died. Well, exactly. It's my home. I've paid a lot of money to buy the shit in it and for it to heat it and light it and keep it and buy your own, But this poor pensioner got hauled to court, got arrested, got hauled to court, and got done for, basically murder. The judge was a sensible one and kind of went, but he broke in. Now, 2 wrongs don't make a right and all that kind of crap, but at the same time, my house, my crap, bugger up. As part of the funeral for said baddie, the family wanted to do a drive-by of this guy's house. The guy had to move because too many people felt he was wrong for defending his house. The guy should have been knighted. I'm sorry, but the guy broke in. You broke the law. Why should the law protect you if you've broken in? You clearly don't have respect for the law, so why should people feel honour bound to go, oh no, please don't take my stuff? Because that's not going to make any difference. But, as I say, the judge did see fit and didn't sentence him or anything. But the fact that it even got to court just seems so really wrong. Well, yeah. Well, exactly. I know I like your thinking on that one. Yeah. It encourages you to be that way, though. It truly does, because, okay, as one of my friends once put it, no one would bother breaking in my house because it looks like it's already been burgled. Maybe there's method to my madness, but it is one of those things, is that this is my house. I've spent a lot of time working hard to earn the crap that lives within my house. And I do lovingly refer to my stuff as my shit. Some of it is shit, some of it's not so shit. But it's my shit. Whether it's worth 9 pence or 1 billion pence, it's my shit. And I don't care if you come along and you tidy up. Actually, if you came and tidied up, I'll probably let you. But you'd probably chuck something I wanted anyway. It's none of anyone's business to be waltzing in my house and taking stuff. As I moved in here, the house was obviously empty for a little bit as I was moving in. and the previous occupants had died, so it had been unoccupied for a little bit. I got my keys, came to check the house. There was a thing on the doorstep. On the doormat, and it read, "There's been a crime in your area." Well, gee, didn't that make me feel good? You know, day one, opening house, and it says, "In the last week, there's been a crime in your area." Brilliant. A few years ago, I live in a cul-de-sac. There are basically 3 houses in it, but there is access to a 4th house. Now, this is slightly contested, because I own the road. I have to pay 30% should any work need to be done. My neighbours at the house next to me have to pay 30%. The house that's slightly further down the road, nearer the beginning, only has to pay 20%. There is then a house at the end which is in another road, but their garden accesses into our road, so not quite sure how they worked that out, because it was built in the garden of the house nearer the beginning of the road. So really they should also be paying towards the road. But there is the original farmhouse, and the farmhouse accesses to, if I'm looking out the front of my house, to my right. Now that house has a driveway that goes out onto the better road, the public road, because this is a private road. Oh no, they don't use that. They use our road with all of their farm equipment and everything. But they are not compelled towards the upkeep of, you know, paying any costs for the road. So they do slightly irk everybody by the fact that if it was just the old biddy who lives there and her car once a day, no one would care. But it's the tractors, it's the combine harvester, it's the muck spreader that comes down our tiny little road that's got a speed bump in it. And, you know, if anyone's doing damage to the road, it's, you know, the monster tractor. And when I mean monster, I mean our tractors aren't necessarily small. Seriously, the tyres on this thing are 6 foot. This is a monster tractor. It's huge. Well, that grinding over your road is not going to do it any favours. And she got burgled. They came in through her back door, found a bag, stole a car. Don't think they took anything else other than a car. But they still took a car. They have a job taking mine, don't move at the moment. But there is the bit of you that's sitting there going, so since I've been here, there's been 2 crimes, obviously fairly close to them. Now, the big house, as I call it, which is the farmhouse, because it is huge. I mean, my house kind of fits in their hallway. It's I don't know how many bedrooms it's got, but this thing's got wings. It's almost got a courtyard in the middle. It really is huge. I don't think it's actually got a courtyard, but it's definitely got like 4 sides to it. I know obviously most houses have 4 sides, but there's like an original bit, and then they built 2 wingy bits, and then they built a back bit. So I don't know that there is a courtyard in the middle, but it's kind of big enough to have a courtyard in the middle. It might not be big, but it's, you know, it has enough room for a little hole in the middle. Hence I call it the big house. And as I say, she got burgled. Now, being 912 years old, it was done at about 1 o'clock in the morning. But she is clearly minted. She owns half the land around here. She is minted. So maybe she's got no better crap in her house than I do, but at the same time, her house is a slightly better target than mine. But that doesn't mean they wouldn't come here. Because my house and next door's house, both our houses back onto a field. There's no lighting there. There's no lighting in our road. So, like now, it's as black as a badger's butthole out there. You know, unless the houses have got lights on, there's no light out there. So at night, you could walk around and no one would see you, right? And especially from behind, because, you know, if you've wandered out back, there's Mrs. Barky Dog and her house. But again, she's got a few lights up, that's probably why. But they only light up her house, and she's kind of over there a bit. So someone could very easily drive round up to her house, turn left, because that's where Farmer Giles goes. I don't think his name's Giles, but I call him Farmer Giles because, well, you would. Farmer Giles takes all of his farming equipment round the back to go up to the fields. So there is a well-used pathway to behind our houses with a car. You could easily then bunk the fence and come in through the back, and nobody would see you. Nobody. That's why I've got a ring alarm, and I set it every night, so that should any of the windows and doors open, I'll know about it. Now, admittedly, if they smash the window, say on the patio doors, and don't open the actual door, no, I wouldn't know about it, because, well, but there's also a motion alarm, so maybe I would, right? I have done a reasonable effort to protect my house, but even so, you know, if the alarm went off in the middle of the night, the dogs would go nuts, so would I, because obviously I've been woken up, and, you know, when you're fast asleep, being woken up does not put you in a good mood. So, you know, if you come in my house, the not very well dressed me of large variety will come storming down the stairs with two dogs who will also be particularly interested in what you're doing. You better run. And while I may not run after you because I'm fat and unfit, they will. They surely will. And I'm pretty sure Rory would bite someone. I mean, he's bitten me a couple of times, not intentionally, but he's bitten me a couple of times. I'm pretty sure he would, given a chance. So, yeah. I think that's the other problem, is that if you do have a dog, my mother... Good for you. I mean, apparently I was one of the few people who did not leave out, you know, an entire stack of food for the bin men this week. Never dawned on me, to be honest. The bin men, they get paid more than I do. Why would I leave them? Why would I leave them food? But it was on someone's ring doorbell, some crackhead type bloke, because he really did look the wrong end of the stick. He definitely had seen, you know, it was almost he looked like he'd seen the war. Not through age, but, you know, in general demeanour, he looked a little bit rough at the edges and second hand. Had nicked the box of heroes off this person's bin, and they had them on camera. And someone was like, "Oh, we know where he lives." Great. And they went round to have words. Now, sadly, there's been no update on what happened when there were words. But he stole a tin of heroes off someone's bin. Really? I mean, it's not like it was a pile of sandwiches and some cake or something. I mean, heroes aren't that great. Aren't heroes the ones with loads of the bloody coconut shits in that no one likes? You know, it's you know, I mean, let's face it, for every tub of sweet things that they make, there's always one that no one wants. Whether it's the coffee cream, whether it's the one with a big nut in the middle that's really hard, or whether it's got coconut in it, or there's always one that nobody wants. You know, or it's just a tub of Ferrero Rocher and no one wants Ferrero Rocher. I don't hate Ferrero Rocher, I just don't like Ferrero Rocher. Anyway, to wrap it up, I will be back tomorrow. We would all like to wish, I would like everyone to wish Nauticelt good luck with his rat problem. For the rats need to go. And as you say, in my castle, there should be no rat. I wish you every endeavour on your rat-repelling schemes. If I can think of any, I was thinking of Vicks Vapor Rub, actually, because that stinks like shit. Yeah, people don't tend to mess with me. It's a bit like, you get all these people, oh, I keep getting hit on. Never had that problem. I give off the vibe of, try it, sonny. Mm-hmm. Did you want to live? So, yeah, I give off similar no kind of vibes. So, yeah, I do wish you every luck with that. And as you say, maybe impale a few round the edges, should you get a couple, just for good measure as the warning sign. Go on then. That's right, the ad's going to come in a minute and a half, so... but yeah, definitely think, impale a couple, stuff them full of warfarin or something, and this is what we'll do to you if you stay, I was thinking Vicks Vapor Rub. Yeah, I definitely look like... I mean, in former lives, I would have been the witch in the hill. I would have been the woman who was, accused of eating babies or something. So, I totally understand. I've never actually been told it, but I know, right? Right, on that note, thank you for cheering me up. I shall see you all tomorrow, if you're able. As I say, hopefully kind of around 1ish or so, but for a couple of hours before I do the big deal. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.